Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to hashtag Truth Be Told. Yours truly, Joe Dupree, in the building on this 8th day of January 2025. 8 minutes past the hour. I'm not by myself, even though one of us is completely blacked out. Now she finally decided to show up. The life strategist, the art therapist, the speaker, the author, our good friend, Sister Jax, is in the building. Let's give it up for Sister Jax. Yay. And not only is she in the building, but got his mind on some sunny, warm Jamaica, is our brother from another mother. You know him from the Open Lines Online and Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. It is Brother Fatim, 1075 WBLS in New York City. And together, we are hashtag Truth Be Told on this Work It Out Wednesday. Moaning to all.
What up?
What up?
What up, Joe?
What up, Joe? Well, first, let me just say, Sister Jax, we just leave it here. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that's about. I love those earrings.
Oh,
I watched that little video clip of Cleopatra. I thought I was gonna be happy till I started seeing the people fighting out there, and I was like, okay, here we go with the white people. But anyway, but on a serious side, real quick, LA is burning. LA is burning, and it's on fire, and they are in a bad situation. It's only going to get worse, they said, because of the winds, the dry weather out there. This is not a good situation, and I hate to say this, but
check on
people
your people.
have been doing that, and I just was reading some reports just now. I got to go back. People have abandoned their cars on the roads. I mean, this is about survival, and this is what happens. These are natural type of disasters that happen that you really, when I use the word prepare, I mean that the only way you can prepare for this is not to hesitate to get out. You understand what I'm saying? This is when, I need my birth certificate, I need my passport, but you don't know where it's at. You don't have it in a place, or you understand what I'm saying? Or it's in a bank that's going to burn down. You're in a safe deposit box. Like I said, there's fireproof safes that you can put all your important paperwork in, that you can grab in minutes and get out the house. You cannot wait and say, I got to go through this junk drawer because I knew I put it there last year when we came back from Bermuda. So prayers up for those folks out there in LA. LA is really burning, and we say prayers, but a lot of work that has to try to do. If there's no rain coming, this is a massive fire. I mean, we've had massive fires before, but this one, when it deals with the residential areas, it's horrific. So,
it is. And speaking about getting out, it broke my heart. My daughter told me about it last week after the horrific, disaster in New Orleans, with the vehicle and the shooting and all of that. And she told me about the one young lady, 18 years old. And she came home and she said, Mommy, we were talking about it in school today. The young girl that was 18 years old, she snuck out the house and went to New Orleans, with her cousin and her friend, and ended up getting killed. Her mom told her, don't go, she couldn't go. And she went anyway. And so today I actually saw a post on social media about it, and a post from her mom, saying how she lost her daughter. And, it's just so devastating, because we've all been in a position when we were younger where we were told don't go somewhere and we still went anyway. And it was nothing but the grace of God that got us back home, but there's so many other people who still do things and never make it back home. So once again, prayers, for that young lady, prayers for that mom. And we just got to listen. I mean, it took me to the scripture in Exodus, where it talks about honor thy mother and thy father and thy mother, so your days shall be long, so it, it's just, saddens me. And, nowadays, especially, I have an 18-year-old, and, sometimes kids, they just want to try things, and experiment and, try to break the rules. And, we just got to continue to keep them in prayer and, stay steadfast, with them. You could bend a little bit and be flexible, but you still keep your moral compass and don't break.
Jax, you have an 18-year-old young adult. I had to wake up to that realization as I have a 17-year-old, about to be a senior, these are young adults, and soon they will be completely out the nest. Some will stay in the nest until 21. Some stay into the nest until 20s and 30s. But
Yeah.
still, these are little grown folk who,
Mhm.
by law, you can advise them, but you can't tell them a lot,
Mhm.
and you just got to pray that what you instilled in the younger ages
Mhm.
manifest itself when they begin to get older.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I'm cleaning my glasses. I can't see, but these terrible fires that Brother Fatim was talking about, which is now another disaster we got to deal with outside the threat of terrorism and the daily killings that occur in our communities. There are actually 3 fires burning right now at one time, and these Santa Ana winds are not playing. And so, if you are in that area of Los Angeles, all I can say is, if you haven't got ready, you need to get ready, because soon you will probably have to be gone, because this seems to be, they're saying it's literally 5 football fields are being burned up per minute.
Mm.
5 football
Mm.
fields are being burnt up. That's the length of 5 football fields are being burnt up per minute. And all I can do is send prayers and say, once again, this is one of those A-time moments. You need to stay ready where you ain't got to get ready, Brother Fatim.
Exactly. Exactly. And, on that, I'm going back to what you said, Sister Jax. And there's a lot of times that, we talk about, you hear, of course, me back in the day, hearing my parents, and of course, I'm looking back as a 17-year-old, 17, 18, somewhere around there. I can't tell you exactly. And I didn't sneak out the house, Sister Jax. But you hear your parents chirping in the back. Oh, what is there good hanging out late in the night? Y'all know what the hell good like. Y'all did it. Shit, y'all did it. Y'all know what's happening.
Mhm.
Until that first shootout, I was at a place called, I don't know if my brother Gary's on, but it was a place called Parkside Towers. It was on corner of Parkside, and it was Parkside of Clarkson and Nostrand Avenue.
Mhm.
And it was a rap battle. And I think one of the last groups were coming up, and all I heard is pop, 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 pop.
Mhm.
And all the next thing you know, I'm down there with the honeycomb bottles on the floor, right?
Mhm.
Pop, 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 pop. So now I'm like, yo, I got to get out of here.
Mhm.
I'm running. One young lady's running. She slips on some, I assume it's beer on the floor,
Oh
and
no.
hits the middle, because it's 2 doors. She hit the middle of it and fell down. Baby girl, you on your own. You
Oh
on
God.
your own, baby girl. Because these bullets, they ain't got nobody's
Yeah,
name on it. You
that's
on
right.
your own. This is
Dang.
survival.
Yep.
When I get outside, I see my boys in the middle. Now,
Mhm.
my boys, that back in the day, a couple of them carried,
Yeah.
and they was like, when I ran up on them, they were like, we don't know. This ain't our fight.
Mhm.
You got to get out here on your own. I was like, what? This
Yeah,
ain't
yeah,
our fight. We don't know who's shooting, but this
yeah.
ain't our fight. We ain't getting involved. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. The most craziest thing is they're carrying illegal weapons at the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah, yeah.
But they was like, this ain't our fight. So it's not about carrying the weapon and having the weapon. It's like, I'm not getting involved in this. This ain't mine.
Pick your
This ain't
battle.
mine. You got to go. I
Mhm.
turn to the right. They shot up on that corner. I see the
Oh,
gunfire.
man.
I turn to the left. I see the gunfire. I said, oh my God. So now when they say you on your own, I ain't got time to negotiate.
Yeah.
I'm rolling. I'm
Wow.
rolling. And I remember running. I got to Street Winthrop. I ran down, and there's like, there were basement apartments on that block. I ran down and hid there till it got quiet. Then I ran up the Winthrop to
Yeah.
Flatbush, and then I lived. It was Winthrop, Hawthorne, Fenimore, my block, right there between Fenimore and Rutland.
Mhm. Oh,
I didn't say nothing to my parents, because now if I say something, they're gonna put, hey, you ain't going out. I
exactly.
don't say nothing. But my father walked up on me talking about it with my friends. And he
Mhm.
said, what happened? What shooting? And boy, did we get numb real quick. But
Yeah.
later on, we had these discussions. And I take that to the point of 2 things, Sister
Mhm.
Jax.
Mhm.
We can tell our children. And, I used to drop my daughters off to certain functions.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you pray
Mhm.
that they do what they say they're going to do. That's why I go back to my late wife, Hanifa, because she kept that honest policy there that they could tell her anything.
Yeah.
Tell her teen everything, but they could tell her everything. So that was the best way, because I remember there was a Long Island, good neighborhood, house party. I got to go pick up my daughter, but it's not time. All I get a call from my daughter, Daddy, you got to come get me. They shooting outside.
Dang.
House party, good neighborhood, know the parents.
Wow.
Parents ain't got nothing to do with what's going on outside. Now, what the parents did is they secured their perimeter.
Yeah.
I'm hauling ass from Queens to Long Island, you know, and, you know, these are the things that you don't sometimes have control, because people have house parties. People get, social media was back then. They had the sidekicks back in the day, flip them up, boom, 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 cell phones. And you hear these things. Fast forward, because you know I communicate with a lot of young adults down here. And a conversation I just had real recently. And real recently, right, Sister Jax? So, and it's amazing that the responsibility as an adult, as an older adult, you can get blinded by other things, but when you realize that you've walked this road, and don't let your selfishness get in your way, and these carnal desires get in the way, you got to listen. Because if you listen to some of the young adults, I'm not talking about 17, 18, a little older, you will hear that some of them say, our generation is screwed up. And each generation had their issues. So I'm not jumping on generation, because like my father jumped on my generation. Every generation, you know what I'm saying, prior is always going to say something about the last generation. But when you got millenniums calling Gen Z crazy, and so now, and then the conversation I was having was like, you know, substance. There's no substance. So for instance, I put a reel up there the other day, and I put a song up there by a group from the 90s called Intro. At 90s, 80s, late 80s, 90s. They're in the new. Yeah. So I put that song up there, and it's about come inside. And it's a love song. And it got so many hits because a lot of people probably haven't heard Intro. Because the intro was more North, New Jack Swing. I'm not saying that people did, but it was more.
I had the cassette.
I had the CD. And and when I put this up there,
we know Intro.
There you go. A lot of young people, I was saying this conversation, how y'all don't talk. We react. Y'all have sex, lacking the intimacy and the emotion sometimes. I mean, we've all been there. But where is the mind? When I said to the person about theater of the mind, it hit them. Wow, theater of the mind. When do you take and get a person, take them from A to Z through just conversation? Not touch, through conversation with substance, meaning something. I say, do you know what lovemaking is? You look at the physical act. I say lovemaking can be, you know, I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about physically expressing how you feel to somebody through a physical act, emotionally expressing physically what you feel for someone. And this is the kind of thing that is missing. So I have to say from the generation, because if you listen to some of the artists out there, you hear more about that. And the graphic, they say, well, our generation is more graphic and on point, about the point, getting to the point. I said, oh, we was like that too. Don't think you 23 and I wasn't 23. The difference in your 23 and I 23, we were a little bit more stable, especially I can say for me in New York, because a lot of us at 23 had jobs. I had jobs with benefits. I didn't work at McDonald's. I didn't work at Burger King. No knock to those that are doing that. But I didn't have to go out there. If I got sick for 4 or 5 days, I didn't worry about not getting paid because I had benefits. I had stability. I had my own apartment at 23. And when I had it before, but my father got sick. So there was stability. And I think that's why we have to have this conversation, not talking at them, but talking with them.
So brother Fatim, on that tip, you know, and the one thing that we had when we were in our, because 18 makes you an adult, 17, you're still a child. 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22, we didn't have this information bombardment because we didn't have these. You know, we didn't have an information bombardment or at our fingertips, all this information flowing and coming to us. That's why we could be more focused on work, school, and other things. We didn't have information bombardment. It's very funny that you say this. Yesterday, a young man reached out to me, was wanting to come on the show. He'll be coming on the show, he said, when we return in May or June. And he said something that was very instrumental to me. He said, "Sir, I have the utmost respect for you, but many Black men and women that are your age, I do not respect because you talk a good game in the hood, but behind closed doors with white folks, you change your colors. You change your stripes." And he said, and it is obvious. And he said, when folk look at me and say, "Well, how you mean that? That can't be possible. These are our revolutionaries and these are the brothers who were fighting for us and they're the reason why." He said, "Yes, some of them are." He said, "But a great deal of them talk a good game in public, but behind closed door, y'all are nothing but Motisa niggas. Motisa, Moti." Because he said, "I see how you have sold us out on every corner." He said, "We would not be in the situation we are today if some of you politicians, influencers, community leaders, and folks we trusted that we put in a position to speak to power when you got behind closed door. You spoke to power when you had these platforms. You spoke to power when you were in our neighborhood. But when you got behind closed doors with them other folks, you shook hands and made deals that benefited your pockets, your family, and your friends. Was not for the greater good of the community." He said, "Sir, with all due respect, that's why many of us young men and young women who are now on the climb and in the position to be the new leaders don't want to sit down and talk with y'all. Because we're not going to make backroom deals to sell our people out." He said, "That's the reason right now we do not have Kamala Harris in as a president." Because he said, "Many of y'all talked a good game in public, but behind closed doors, you shook hands and made deals and pulled the wrong lever and made it that we got to the point that those of us who wanted to fight couldn't fight because half the rest of us have been lullabied to sleep by y'all."
I wish this brother would come on now. I don't want to work to May. I think that's a great conversation. I wish you could get back in touch with him. I'd rather bring him on than any damn leader right now, because that's a real conversation that we need to have. And I want to do that. I mean, if you can get in touch with this brother and bring him on this week, I mean, like Thursday or Friday, I would love this conversation. I would love this conversation.
I've talked to him on that level and asked him could he make a concession, but I had to respect the young man. The young man said, "Sir, with all due respect, I'm trying to get mine right now. And I got to stay laser focused on what I'm doing." He said, "I came to you because I would love to come on."
Okay, so now I'm going to go hard since he can't come on, so I'm going to rebuttal that. So yeah, and Crystal Woods, I see you say absolutely, and I agree with that. There are some that do that, including activists and groups and civil rights groups and all this, churches and all that. They all do. But on the other hand of that is that there are a lot of young folks that are angry, and rightfully so, but don't know how to put in the work. This is where if somebody wanted to criticize Black Lives Matter, there was a criticism that no one raised that was in the chat a couple of days ago that criticized it. What came about, and it's interesting because what was said was, you know, you can't wait for the older folks to hand you the power. You got to take the power. You understand? And one of the things that Black Lives Matter was coming out, and some of them was saying, is that some of the older folks need to get out the way. We, the younger folks, we need to do this and do that. Do this and do that. But can you do that? Can you deliver? Do you know how to work when the cameras go off? What to do for these families? Have you been in a position where families have lost their loved ones to police brutality, racism, and other crimes out here. Do you know what to do? Do you stay connected? Do you have an organization with the money that you can funnel and continue to help this family? And that's what happened. And again, you know, and I don't want to speak for Reverend Sharpton, but that's when he had a conversation because he was at an event where Black Lives Matter came at him. And he was like, fine, I get it. He said, I was young too. He said, the difference now is that we had mentors we could talk to, but the bottom line is, what do you have? Why don't we work together if it needs to be able to work together? Not to say that we are on the sideline needing to work together, but understanding the structure of what it goes into of assisting those people. You got to realize, if you go back to Sean Bell being shot in New York, if you go back to Trayvon Martin, these families, if they need assistance, do they call on Black Lives Matter, or do they call on the organizations, the people that were there for them, that need help, that can turn around on a snap of the finger and help them at that particular time? That's why I'm saying it's past emotion, and it's about being strategic, logical, and understanding. And it's about wisdom and experience, along with working with new energy and not stifling the young, but understanding that we need to work together to make this a better thing.
Yeah. And I agree fully with that, Brother Fatim. And I'm going to let Sister Jax get in on this. Here's what yesterday I told a young man. Somewhere along the line, we have to break this vicious cycle we're in. Here's the cycle. We talk. Something happens. Everybody talks. Everybody for a moment comes up with great ideas of how do we remedy this situation that was horrific that happened. Then all of a sudden, a week or two, a month or two later, everybody forgets until the next incident happens. And then we talk. When people talk about this is why. At the end of the day, there's a vicious cycle that we go in that has not been broken. Here's why. And I agree with what the young man said. First of all, the parties who are most important in these situations are not communicating with each other, nor are they listening to one another, nor do they understand those who are in power, who control the laws, the politics, the money, the flow of information. Most of them, as he said, not all, most of them are in a position where there is a campaign of disinformation, misinformation, and straight up lies that puts everybody that when certain things happen, instead of us uniting around the common fact that, yes, this young Black man died, this young Black woman died, a group of us got killed, or something happened horrendous, where we should say, how do we remedy this? We, because of disinformation, misinformation, and straight up lies from our own leaders, but put ourselves in a position where we cannot organize because nobody knows who to trust.
Yeah.
And let me just say this. Let me just say this real quick, because Crystal D. Woods, there's a lot of chats, a lot of things, but it just caught my attention. Crystal D. Woods said Black Lives Matter, BLM, was very effective in lighting the fire to bring attention to what was happening. That's an activist there. That's somebody that understands what a person or organization role is. Igniting the fire. So Douglas Guidry says, Black Lives Matter do not push a Black agenda. It's more about LBG agenda. The hands of Black Lives Matter got exposed as a money grab. The NWC has been on the forefront for many years, and in my opinion, has done an excellent job for the advancement of colorful folks. So there's a lot to unpack here. So let me go back to what Crystal said. So what Crystal said is Black Lives Matter, it ignited that match to bring exposure. She understands, just like when I joined the United African Movement under the attorneys, Altamatics, late Altamatics, and C. Vernon Mason and Reverend Sharpton. Reverend Sharpton was not the attorney. His job was to bring publicity. People never understood that. His job was to bring publicity to that while they legally fight this in court. Because a lot of times the media tells the story and we don't tell our own narrative. So that's why you sometimes have that activist that steps out front. That's what Black Lives Matters was saying. Enough was enough, but we got to make sure that This stays out there, and it stays out there, and it's told from that narrative. Now, you want to go about Black Lives Matter. I said the other day, they did have a money problem. They had a bad money problem with the upper echelon. They can fight whatever field they want to. They fought on the forefront of Black folks. If they want to fight for LGBT, they have a damn right to do that. Those people do exist. You may not agree with them, and I may not agree with that lifestyle, but they have rights as well. And then you don't want to have me go at the NAACP, because I criticized the NAACP for years because they didn't do nothing. They didn't do a damn thing. So when we brought, what's the brother name that comes on here from Louisiana from NAACP? Brother Ravis. Brother Ravis, Derek now, Ben Chavis, when Ben Chavis took over the NAACP, not only did he do a good job while he was there, he ignited to bring more young people into NAACP at that particular time. Don't get sick. Don't think that the NAACP went to sleep, brother, because they did go to sleep. And I forgot what the leader, he's passed now. I see his face. And when I got into a conversation, this is when I was young, a little wet behind the ears, but I was in the field and I wanted to invite him on. I just can't. I see his name, but I can't call his name. And he told me, well, I don't have time to come on your program. Brother, you fought for us to have programs like this. And now when we got an issue, you don't have the time. I hung up on him. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of these damn handkerchief head Negroes lost their damn way.
Oh, hold on. So, Brother Fatim, not for me, and I love your passion, I always have. But this is one of those conversations where I want to keep a level head, because I think what the young man said is very much being revealed in the conversation we're having right now. First of all, the young man that I was introduced to him through Ravis Martinez. He is one of the young NAACP leaders here in Lafayette. The point that he made, when I take my emotion out of it, was very valid. First of all, we all have to take, all of us, young folks, old folks, middle folks, everybody who's in this struggle to get us to a better place, have to take our own. I like what he told me. Take your responsibility of your failures and ask yourself, what have you started or what have you done? Not what you have attached yourself to. Because he asked me, he said, sir, I know you. He said, it's a different ball game. He said, I've seen you on the front lines. He said, by yourself. He said, not attached to somebody. He said, I've seen you on the front lines. For a prime example, when Reverend Sharpton came to Lafayette for Trayford Pellerin's funeral, everybody was telling me, man, you got to get with Sharpton. That same day, it was funny because one of the pastors that he went to the church to, my name got brought up and they said, well, Joe, he in them streets right now trying to advocate for some folks to stop shooting themselves. I'm like, I can't be at the funeral. That's not my lane right now. It's good to show up and get a photo op, but that's not what I'm about. I got plenty of photo ops. I got a Facebook full of pictures with famous folks. There comes a time, F the famous folks. I got to be out there in the streets with them thugs, them killers, because they know me and I know them, and I got to be able to look them in the eye and say, can we have a ceasefire today? Just today. Because see, I start small. I have been in these streets at 2, 3 in the morning, long before I was a law enforcement officer, and looking people in the eye saying, can we just have a ceasefire tonight? Me and actually Josh Edmonds and a brother named Chris Bernard, we got out in these streets for 30 days when the murder rate was the highest it had ever been in the city of Lafayette. We were out in the streets walking to the point that the law enforcement was like, y'all don't need to be out in the streets at 11, 12, 1, 2 in the morning. Y'all gonna get killed. We had enough fortitude and enough belief in the Most High that if we got out there and walked these streets and demanded peace from these killers, that we could have at least 30 days of peace. And in 30 days, we had peace in the streets. But it came from us getting out of our comfort zone. And there were times that we walked through some of the roughest neighborhoods in this city, and there were drive-by shootings going on the next street. Nobody got killed, but there were drive-by shooting. We saw dope fiends in the yard off of some of the craziest stuff. You got to stop talking that talk, and you got to get out there and walk the walk. Crystal can testify. When I met with Grandmaster Jay checked me, and he made me realize something. You ain't doing enough. Yeah. It look good. You look good. Yeah, that's fine. Your ratings are good. But what are you really doing to help your black folks? Stop trying to look popular and walk with some purpose. And that's why I love the good Dr. Johnson. That's why I love him. Because he made me realize something. Bro, you effed up. You think you good. You ain't good. Wake your ass up and get into the real fight. Because it's a real fight out here. Now, you can go ahead and sit on the sidelines and act like you fighting, which a lot of us do. We act like we fighting. We tell people, especially our politicians. Our politicians are really good about it. Let me tell you what I did for y'all. Like the young man said, you shucking and jiving when you in our face. Behind closed doors, when you with them white folks, you are making deals to make your pocket stronger, your family pocket stronger, and your friends' pocket stronger. You don't give a damn about the black community that you were elected to serve. And it shows. Because I can ride through your district and say, well, why your district look like this when I ride through the other district that the white man is over, and it looks like a pristine, beautiful community, thriving with businesses and everything growing, because the money is flowing in their community. It's not flowing in ours. And it's because those we have put in place in power only speak power and politics to us when they're in our face, in our streets. When they get behind closed doors, then they come with the numbers game. Well, it's only 2 of us against 7 of them. It's only 5 of us against 20 of them. Guess what? I read somewhere in history there was 300 against 1 million, and they stopped the 1 million. So my question is, where are 300 at?
That's right. I love it, Joe. Look, I love y'all, and I love both of your passions. And when I look at like everything that you guys have spoken about thus far, it makes me look at it on a macro level and like a holistic approach, right? So when we're talking about the youth, and when I think about the brain, there's a small part of the brain called the amygdala, right? So the amygdala is the emotional part of the brain, which is responsible for like fear and aggression and like your immediate reactions, right? So, but what happens is when children are young and there's forms of trauma, that amygdala doesn't form exactly how it should, right? And then there's still another part of the brain that's still tied to that, which is the prefrontal cortex. So that's in the frontal lobe, and the prefrontal cortex is not even fully developed until somebody's like in their, mid to late 20s, right? So we're always so quick to call somebody an adult because legally, in our country at 18 years old, you're considered an adult. Now, even in biblical times, adulthood you weren't even considered an adulthood to go into the promised land until you were 20 years old, right? So, but the way society has it, it's like, okay, you're mature, you're 18, you're responsible for yourself. So what happens in our culture, especially with Black folks, as soon as the kid turns 18, we're ready to kind of push him out and say, you're on your own, you make all your own decisions, you're legal now. But a lot of other cultures still embrace them and still whether allow them to live in the home, but it make them still become responsible for what, for things, but still, they're still somewhat protected, right? But Black folks, we do things a little bit differently. Then when our kids get out there, now they're out there dealing with the trauma that they had to deal with. The prefrontal cortex is not even fully developed because that's the part that deals with planning, decision-making, and all that kind of stuff. These kids can't even plan properly or make proper decisions because the part of the brain is not fully developed. So they can't even execute properly. But we're forcing them into a role that they're not even built to be in at that time sometimes. So, sometimes they'll think things and do things, and it's not quite what we might not consider right. But we still got to have grace and mercy upon them and still know that, you can still fight for your people. You can still do what you have to do, but just kind of slow it down and think and try to become a little bit more strategic, in that battle. And also as parents, we have to be careful of the trauma that we put on our babies, when they're young, because when their brain gets stunted, it's hard with that, neuroplasticity for it to, rebound for the most part. So it's definitely interesting what you guys are talking about. But it's
exactly. Thank you, Sister Jax. So I see if folks could try to help me. So thank you, Sister Rhonda. So you made me go out there and look at it. So it wasn't Kwesi Mfume. I dealt with Kwesi Mfume, who, yes, out of Maryland. I dealt with him when I had to deal with him one-on-one is when we took on the NAACP. When I said we open line along with the Black radio station in Pittsburgh, dealing with the Johnny Gabbage situation, who was shot and killed by the cops. And I mentioned that the other day. And,
Right. Michael Chume. We had Kwasi Mfume's son on the show, on our show.
Yeah,
yes,
we did.
Exactly.
We have. He's been on one of our podcasts.
Exactly.
Coming from Baltimore. Yes, very much so.
Right. So, and then she said about Roy Wilkins. So I decided to go ahead and look it up to find out who this person was that I had this conversation that I got pissed and hung up. I remember I called him Tume right away. I said, this man, this is the book. He said, Patine, thank him for the work that he's done.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, we just got to do what got to be done. The person I'm talking about, the late person, Julian Bond, 1998 to 2010, he was the chairperson of the board of the NAACP, a civil rights icon and former Georgia state legislator who used his role to emphasize advocacy for social justice. That's why I reached out to him for the work that Julian Bond had done. Yeah. And it was some kind of, I don't remember the situation. And that's one thing I'm not going to remember is what the situation for me, but I reached out to him to come on the open line to talk about that. So I get that. And what I'm saying, and I hear this, and that's why I say, let me be reserved, because I'm probably going to agree a lot with this young brother that would probably come on the show. I probably would. But until then, I'll just keep my comments because I don't know what he has to say, because there are a lot of young people that are out there. But, you know, there's a lot of people that say they're on the front line, but there's a different level when bullets are flying over your head. Right. That's why I have so much respect for Mtume, because see, y'all know Mtume from most likely the music world.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know when he was at, you know, and I'm not proud to say this. And I'm not proud to say when our Black organizations went against one another. I'm not proud to say this. But this is the kind of situation that Google this. If you don't believe me, just Google it or however you want to look it up. Look at us organization where Mtume got into a shootout with the Black Panthers at UCLA. I can mention this now. Mtume's not here. He talked a little bit about it. He wasn't there, but it was his people. Helped get certain people out of the country. This is what I'm saying. Y'all don't really get it.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes down to survival, when people, the US organization, when Mtume decided that it was time to leave because of things that were being done in the US organization that he questioned, like Malcolm said, my own folks are going to come at me because I know what we trained them to do. Well, that's what happened to Mtume. When Mtume left the US organization, they sent a hit squad for Mtume. Oh, they got to Mtume. They came through the front door. The guy that got to Mtume said, brother, you got a few minutes to go out the back door.
Dang.
Because we sent here to kill you. Mtume had one of his children. His son is living. He know I wouldn't lie because his son can dispute me. Mtume grabbed his wife, grabbed that baby, and got out of there. Because he trained it. He said, I trained these guys to be killers. Guys, y'all, it's nice to go to a protest and then go and then stop at McDonald's and then go home and watch ESPN. These brothers and sisters stood on the front lines. Our sisters were armed. Did things that y'all don't know. Even civil rights organizations, y'all don't know.
That's right.
And a lot of things that you don't know, and a lot of young folks that are not exposed. That's why you got to sometimes sit down with the elders and have these hard conversations so you can explain some things and hear back from them. Because just like some of the older people now are doing what they do, they were also in your position. You understand? I was in that position. You understand? And I got out of that position because then I got a wife and a daughter. But see, I put my life on the line. And when you put your life on the line, it's just not just going up there and doing line duty. It's about taking a bullet. If you don't want to take a bullet, but if you're taking a bullet for the cause, that's real.
That's
and
right.
At times, I'm telling you, when I brought my late wife out to a rally, a protest rally in Williamsburg, in the Jewish community, we wasn't expecting those Jewish folks to surround us. That's when I told Hanifa, you never coming out to no protest, because now my mind got to go from us to protect us to now I got to protect you. So I don't need that extra. And then when I got a child, I hesitated. I said I would hesitate for the cause now. Now, when I say the cause, but would I be willing to take a bullet? Well, I got a different type of responsibility now. That's why I got out from the front lines of the streets. And I'm blessed that I got into the front lines in the media perspective and joined a team that didn't water down nothing. We talk about Mtume, bobsleigh, and Bob Pickett, but there are people in the chat knows about the Week in Review, about the cut man. And we had people that didn't bite their tongues. When Tavis Smiley came on, he put a line in his book dealing with Wall Street and not Wall Street, the community that deals with advertising. And there was a letter leaked about white advertisers, how they shun black folks. The person that got that memo was a white woman, was our vice president, Judy Ellis, I think that's her last name. It was the vice president and his broadcasting. She gave it to bobsleigh and Mtume. We broke the story on the air. Tavis Smiley put in his book that she broke the story. Oh, we set Tavis up good for that. And we cool with Tavis. Tavis came on there and Mtume said, I got this. What's up, Tavis? This is Mtume. Yo, you put this in your book. Explain how you did this where we did this. See, so that's what I'm saying. There are real people that is on the line. There's another sister. She's not young now, but Erica Ford, Life Camp Incorporated in New York. That sister is a warrior. She's a hero. I remember when this sister started out there. And you talking about walking the streets of Jamaica, Queens? When we shut down New York, hold on, Joe. When we shut down New York, she was the young activist at 17 with the bullhorn. We didn't play with New York. We didn't protest on the sidewalk. We shut New York City down in 87. So when I say we took the bridges, we took the subways, and we did what we had to do.
So wait.
Get permits to do marching and march on the damn sidewalk, march in the damn street, get arrested. A lot of folks are scared to get arrested.
So Brother Fatim, once again, you have been for years out there fighting the good fight. I think we all have. I got an activist in the green room we're getting ready to bring on. I got to say this, a lot of folks talk a good game. I don't brag because it's nothing for me to brag about. To me, it's nothing I'm proud of. I've caught a bullet 4 times in my life. 4 times in my life, I have been hit in a life or death situation in combat. I've caught a bullet 4 times in my life. Okay. It's nothing glamorous about being shot. Let me tell y'all that, all y'all folks out there, it's nothing glamorous about that. It's nothing glamorous having shrapnel taken out your body. It's nothing glamorous about that. So, and the truth about it is a lot of folks, they talk. But then when you ask them for some action, they don't want no action until the cameras are there. I laughed at when we walked these streets in Lafayette, Louisiana. We had some big crowds walking with us in the beginning, the first 2 or 3 days, because the camera crews were out there from the TV station. See, a lot of us want to be seen. So I want to bring in Sister Crystal in a minute because we're going to talk about a real revolutionary. Grandmaster Jay, who himself didn't tag on to. Grandmaster Jay, who formulated an organization to go out there and fight for our freedoms. See, it's easy. The young man said it best to me. He said, man, I appreciate the things that you sacrificed and that you done. Because I told him, bro, I done lost a lot in this game. And willing to even lose more. Just for the sheer fact, that's where my heart is at. I love my children. But I say to myself, how can I speak to my children saying to them, you know what, I bow down that daddy could be here for y'all. No, I'd rather say I went out fighting for what was right for you and for my grandchildren and for my future generations. And many a times I tell people, we got to wake up. Everybody ain't built for this. And guess what? That's okay. It's okay that everybody ain't built for this. Because in everybody not being built for this, we then have to give homage, respect, and step aside for those who are able to fight the fight. So, Sister Crystal, I see you done came on. Sister Crystal and I know each other. We go back like 4 flats on a Cadillac. And let me tell you, y'all talk a good game until you have to do what Grandmaster Jay did. I was in the meeting. Watch this. I was in the meeting when Grandmaster Jay sit down with our sheriff and
Wow.
broke down to him constitutionally.
Mhm.
It's nothing more beautiful to me than when a black man uses the laws that they established and say to them, this is why I'm coming.
That's
This is
right.
why you can't stop me. And all you can do is watch me because I'm coming in a manner that is legal. And I'm going to do exactly what I said I'm going to do. And everybody said, but y'all coming with guns. Yeah, and legally I can do that.
Mhm.
It is beautiful because so many times behind closed doors, I done seen big time black folks do this number. Well, you know, and give you a prime example. In the state you in right now, Brother Fatim, I'm not very happy with Brother Clyburn at all. That he sit there and still is there talking about, you know, before Joe Biden gets out of office, he need to go ahead and he needs to go ahead and pardon Trump. Come on, man. You can't fight. And then when it comes to a point that you just should either shut the hell up and not say nothing at all, then you say something that really makes it seem like now you Samboing for some odd reason and nobody knows why. Sister Crystal, welcome to the show. Talk to me, sis. First of all, how's Grandmaster Jay doing and how are we working on getting him out of getting him pardoned? That's who needs to get pardoned. Let's talk.
That's right. We're Grand Rising, everybody. Thank you for inviting me onto the show again. And, you know, Grandmaster Jay, he is very optimistic. He was just assigned a case number for the pardon, which is great. There are over 1,900 petitions before the pardon attorney, U.S. pardon attorney. And, you know, we know that there are quite a few people in the system that should not be there. And like you stated, Grandmaster Jay, as many of our leaders from the past, but we have not seen action taken the way he led his organization in FAC in 60 years, right? Just with the education, reminding us of what the Constitution says and how it applies to us and how we need to apply it to our lives. And that was very intimidating to a lot of our civil rights organizations, you know, wanting to lend their support. National Action Network out of Louisville, they took the reins. They definitely stepped up and supported, and they're still supporting. But Grandmaster Jay, he is very optimistic in the direction that we're going. The fight is not over. He has been assigned a case number now. I did send that in a DM to either you or Brother Fatim. But there is now a case number when calling and emailing, and many people are getting a response back from the pardon attorney on status update. But if we kind of go back to, you know, the last several years and how all this unfolded to where he is today, it was definitely something that was intimidating. And, you know, like you were saying, so many of us in leadership roles tend to cower down when we're at the table with others because we don't want to offend. We don't want to challenge. We don't want to push the envelope. But there are many leaders who do that, but then they don't have the support, the backing, right? So when NFAC showed up and captured the attention of the world, um, it was astonishing to see. And like you said, Brother Dupree, he came with a command and authority to speak power to power. And it rubbed people wrong way. And that's okay. That's okay because we have to at some point step beyond the fear and tap into that boldness in order for change to happen. Grandmaster Jay loves his people. He loves people and he loves to be fair and right. It doesn't matter the nationality. Of course, he is about us because we are the oppressed people. But he will also acknowledge when something is wrong. And if we're wrong, he's going to call you out on it.
That part. And that's what needs to happen, Crystal. You know, so many times, and I appreciate him as my teacher as many a times, and still to this day, I can't wait till I see my brother again, that he would say, Joe, that sounds good, but let's look at the substance behind it. See, he was one of the people that gave me that philosophy. Bruh, stop trying to be popular and get yourself to a place of prosperity that the positivity you push elevates your people. It's good to say stuff that sound good for click, like, and share.
Right.
But the point about it is that click, like, and share helping your people or is it hurting your people? Because you got to get to a place where the elevation of your people does not necessarily give you a pat on the back. Your pat on the back is I did the right thing. Even if I had to die in doing the right thing, I did the right thing. And that gives me the solace that this right thing saved, freed, and elevated my people. But too many times, if there ain't a paycheck involved or there ain't a situation where a brother gets a pat on the back, we ain't gonna do the right thing. Cause no, I ain't gonna lose like that. I ain't gonna lose like that.
But you know
Guess
what?
No.
You know what? So that's integrity, right? Because integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's watching. So,
right.
you know, Grandmaster Jay and so many others, like we just have to always remember to just walk with integrity and be authentic, you know? And I always say non-malfeasance. That means first, do no harm. So quite often people try to act like they want to walk with intentionality and integrity, but they're just worrying about a pat on the back or a come up. So so kudos to Jam Master Jane for you for all the work that you know you do as well, Sister Crystal.
Right, exactly,
That's
Sister
right.
Crystal.
And if you look at all of our leaders, Martin Luther King, you look at all of our leaders from the past, that's what they did. They took that step forward to elevate our people elevate us as a nation of people. And they put their life, their family on the line for the sake of us. All of our leaders from the past did that. And again, over the last 60 years, we've seen other leaders rise up, didn't have the support. Grandmaster Jay, he stepped forward, he commanded the attention, and it was again to elevate us as a people. And even a reference in the Bible says, and you know, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but what keeps coming back to me is that it says, come out of her. We at some point have to step forward and come out of this conditioning that has been given to us over the last several years. We have to remember who we are. He taught who we are. We taught about the power of us. And we know collectively that whether it's a financial, whether it's when we unify, we make changes. And my question is, how do we bridge the gap between the wisdom of the elder generation and the fire with the younger generation? We have to have some type of conversation to where we can bridge that gap and really unify. Because that's one principle that Grandmaster Jay always taught and teaches and stands on is unity. We have to unify behind a common goal in order to really move forward.
Exactly. You know, the picture that we had taken, I just shared with Joe, Sister Crystal, when we ran and met, and that's when we met for the first time. I just, as you were speaking, it reminded me of when Joe brought up about, you know, meeting with the sheriff. It reminded me of that whole controversy and back and forth with U.S. Congressman from Louisiana, Clay Higgins. And oh yeah. So you know what happened there, you know, where Clay Higgins basically engaged in a phone conversation with Grandmaster Jay. And, you know, their discussion, and I'm bringing this up because you can probably give us more details, but it was dealing with, I believe the discussion followed a controversial Facebook post by Higgins in which he warned that any armed protesters in Louisiana would face severe consequences, stating they should have their affairs in order and suggesting their visit could be one way. During the call, and again, I'm only saying this so Crystal can add or correct. During the call, Higgins expressed a desire to meet with Grandmaster Jay and attend the NAFAC's planned formation in Lafayette, Louisiana. He acknowledged past mistakes, stating, "Sometimes I'm wrong." This is Clay. "I've been wrong many times in my life." However, Higgins later clarified that his remarks were not an apology for his earlier statements. He emphasized that while he extended a diplomatic gesture to meet, he had nothing to apologize for. See, Clay Higgins got that phone call from his white constituents at that particular time. Now, what happened is Grandmaster Jay, because once Higgins started saying this, that, and the other, guess what? Grandmaster Jay released their conversation to show what, as Grandmaster Jay, this is what I said was said. Here is the proof of what was said. And that protest, as Crystal knows, that protest went, they had that protest. There was no problems. They, in fact, went there armed. All right, they were there and they did what they had to do in Lafayette, Louisiana. Is there anything to add or correct on what I just said, Sister Crystal?
Well, that conversation was aired live. You're absolutely correct. And it's unfortunate that a sitting congressman did make those statements to an American citizen, a veteran. He is a 17-year veteran of the Army.
Come on.
and a former presidential candidate, 2016 presidential candidate. It is unfortunate that conversation did happen. And one thing is true. Grandmaster Jay is all about facts. His show was facts over feelings. He
Come
always
on now.
always deals in facts. He's a fact finder. He's a researcher. He speaks truth, and he speaks truth to power. And nothing and no one can really intimidate him in that level. So in reference to your conversation, the proof was out there, and the congressman did backtrack, but also we have to remember the system that we're in, right? It's the system. It's the politics behind it. The reason he is where he is, he's a political prisoner. It's political. It's political.
The system will do, Crystal. Listen, he was one of the first people that said that to me. Joe, why are you mad? The system is doing exactly what it was designed to do. I remember when I sit down with Grandmaster Jay, and it's crazy that you bring up about Congressman Clay Higgins, who I happen to know. It was so funny that when Grandmaster Jay stood his ground and stood his ground with no ambiguity, with no, let me kind of, he was very, look, I was in meetings with Grandmaster Jay, with major political and law enforcement officials. I wasn't in law enforcement. Well, let me rephrase that. I was working for the sheriff at that time. When I sit in those rooms, I loved how he was very respectful, and he would say, with all due, he used this word so much that I said, that's how you get them with their own. He said, with all due respect, not trying to be argumentative. He said that many times. I'm not trying to be argumentative. The facts are. He would say that so many times. This is not something to even get upset about. The facts are. And when he would say that, folks would be looking like, he was like, well, read it. Your law. I like how he said that too. Your law. Right. Your law says in statute such and such and such that this and this and this should happen. Does not say because of the color of the skin of the individuals carrying the weaponry that they and everybody, you can run a background check on everybody. There's no felons. There's no all folks have been. He would go through a small, and I would sit there and be like, and what was so funny was how I would look at the face of certain African American politicians in my area when they were like, who is this? And then when he would leave out, how they would be like, oh, that's a dangerous man. I'm like, wait a minute, say that to his face. Same folks that were calling him talking about, man, we're so happy that you're coming to Lafayette, Louisiana. Soon as he walked out the room with them same white folks, that's a dangerous man.
Didn't they say that against Malcolm when he surrounded that precinct in Harlem? Didn't they say the same thing? That NIT has too much power.
Yeah.
Hold on. But listen to what I said.
It's the same premise. That's why we need to know our story.
Brother 15. It wasn't the white folks saying that he was a dangerous man. It was, hold it. I want you to clearly hear what I just said. When he left out the room, there were black politicians in that room, not the white folks. Black. See, I ain't talking about them. First of all, I can't fix them. I done got back to what and you can rewind the tape and see the interview me and Grandmaster Jay had with one another. Grandmaster Jay said, y'all problem is y'all trying to fix folks that y'all can't fix because they ain't fixable, but you ain't trying to fix your own folk. At the end of the day, there were black and brown folks in that room that were, look, boss, listen, boss. Right. I don't need to let that person don't need, same folks that was in his face talking about, we so happy that you came, same black folks, we so happy that you coming to liberate us, with the same black folks behind closed door. Boss, you don't need to let that black man in these streets. He gonna make these black folks do something bad. No, he wasn't. He was making people realize you can use the same laws that they have used against you to stand up and peacefully protest a wrongdoing that you felt occurred in your neighborhood. Period.
And one of his favorite quotes is, "There's too many of us who are comfortable in our captivity, comfortable, complacent, fear of change, wanting to continue to pacify, and that's just no longer acceptable because we're not moving forward. We're still being killed in the streets. We're still suffering financially. We're still, in poverty. We're still being." Suffering educationally. So that we can no longer be comfortable in our captivity and suppression.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
And Crystal, I love that because that all, like you said, come out of her, right?
Mhm.
That's in Revelations 18. So
There you
I
go.
love that. So even if we read that book of Revelations 18, it talks about all of what you're saying Grandmaster Jay stands for and how we need to change, renew our minds and come out of captivity. So I mean, man, I just can't, say thank you enough, sis, because you are so right.
Yes. Yes.
So let me say this, Sister Crystal, and this is what is called constructive. I don't know if I say it constructive criticism, but constructive conversation.
Mhm.
And I don't want folks to again, you laugh at me or do whatever you want to do, but I go back to an episode of, this is with George Reeves, The Amazing Adventures of Superman. There was an episode where these guys had these metal masks on their head, and they basically put out demands, and they were going to operate in a sense, if this is not done, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it, and we're going to kill so-and-so. And what happened is everyone had on a suit, and they had the mask on. So you never knew who was the leader, you never knew who was the leader, but they all looked the same. Reason why I bring that up, because I asked myself, because I don't know where Naphat is today versus Grandmaster Jay being taken away as a political prisoner. I look back at certain things with Malcolm and other leaders that were taking out and the organizations died. I see and was touched by Grandmaster Jay. You just said he was a student. This was a well-learned man through books, through experience. And you got to realize that everyone that comes is not a leader.
That's right.
And what we have to understand, are people built to be leaders, or are we grooming people to be leaders? This is not a criticism on that. It's a criticism to the point, or not even say a criticism, observation. Why can't we have 10, I'm just using Grandmaster Jay as an example, 10 Grandmaster Jay, so when they take that head out, we got another head to go there. That's why I brought up The Amazing Adventures of Superman, because of that situation, because I watched that. I said, that's interesting. They didn't put a face on they didn't put a face on leadership because they all operated as one. And once we operate as one, and when I use the word one, I'm not talking about all of us as Black leadership, but when we put in a powerful, impactful organization, that if you know they're coming at us by Black folks, white folks, by airplane, water technology, they're coming at us. We got to be prepared for that. And we have to have leadership that can step in and do this. That's why I keep saying we are sermon-based people. We learn. I mean, Rhonda Hairston just put in something here, and she put in here something about facts over feelings, the morning mental, the mid-muse. When I heard Grandmaster Jay doing these things and having these conversations, I was like, whoa, he caught my attention because his intellect, his conversation, the way he could look, not at things, he was able to look into things. Some people are gifted like that. Some people are gifted. Martin and other people are gifted to have that kind of worth all about themselves.
Yes.
But there's also ways of grooming folks, and we don't need to publicize it. We need to do this underground, just like some of the rappers, just like some of these urban book writers that wrote books stolen from their cars, from these folks that created music and sold them from the back of their trunks of their cars, and then became big artists. We got to do things quietly and underground, but we got to remember that we can't allow it to just fall on one person. It got to be a combination of leaders being groomed and built. So when they come after us and they take one out, there's another one to step into place. You understand? And that's all I'm saying there. And I love to hear your comments on it.
Well, one thing he was doing exactly that, because in the teaching side of the organization, he was encouraging people to lead with their strengths, their skill sets.
Mhm.
And he was creating programs. Matter of fact, he created 33 programs
Mhm.
to be implemented. And the first program was actually getting ready to be launched right around the time that he was arrested. Um, so he always encouraged each member of his organization and even the listeners, the students who would listen, cultivating those skill sets, because one thing he said is whatever we would be doing 60 years ago, we're doing the same thing now. And I can't
Right.
remember exactly in that phrase, but
Right.
we all have a gift. We all have a talent, and we all need to utilize those talents and gifts to help move our nation forward, move our people forward. And Grandmaster Jace was an advocate for that. As far as the organization, he put leaders in place to do the things in their community. Go by the principles, even with the Black Panthers, their 12 steps, I believe it is. These are principles that we need to put in place for our own communities. We don't need to wait for somebody to do it. He always said that. You don't have to wait for me to come to your city. Put these
Right.
leaders in place and do it yourselves, because we have to take responsibility for where we live, what's happening in our city. So he taught that. He stood by that. He stands on that. What else can I say? I mean, like you said, he's a teacher.
Mhm.
He teaches taking responsibility, taking ownership, taking action.
And
Could I
Crystal,
just make
one of the things-
what Crystal said real quick, Joe? Just that she said about the Panthers. So the Black Panther Party, which was established in 1966 by Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale, they developed what is called a comprehensive 10-point program.
Okay.
10-point program. The 10-point program was, number one, we want freedom. We want power to determine destiny of our Black community. Number two, we want full employment for our people. Number three, we want an end to the robbery of the capitalists of our Black community. Number four, we want decent housing fit for the shelter of human beings. Five, we want education for our people that exposes the true nature of their descendant American society. We want education that teaches us our true history and our role in the present day society. Number six, we want all Black men to be exempt from military service. Seven, we want an immediate end to police brutality and murder of Black people. Eight, we want freedom for all Black men held in federal, state, county, and city prisons and jails. Nine, we want all Black people, when brought to trial, to be tried in court by a jury of their peer group or people from their Black community as defined by the Constitution of the United States. And number 10, we want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, and peace. This is a teaching moment on this program.
That's right.
Yeah,
And
so-
he actually laid out the blueprint, which was a very powerful video he did back in 2020, which I'm sure it's on his channel.
It is.
It's just still there. And I encourage everybody to go and watch that. So again, these are teachings that we've heard from Martin Luther King, from Malcolm X, from all of our leaders from the past. And they're still very, very important in today's society. They're very impactful, but unfortunately, our younger generation is not aware of it, right? And when you talked about, one of the points about having, being, I'm losing my thought about the judge of your peers. During his trial, of course, he did not have a jury of his peers.
Correct.
During his trial, there were so many errors there. And unfortunately, not many people showed up for his trial. And that was because the media blacked out everything. They began blacking out everything regarding Grandmaster Jay. All the information, all the press conferences we were having, they really just, it was almost like a memo went out to all media, like, do not speak on it, do not air it, anything about it. So we know that all that was intentional, which is why we know that this was political, which is why we know that the mission will continue until he is home. Operation Bring Him Home will continue to advocate for his exoneration. We went into action the moment he was charged. and we've been moving forward. It's a nonprofit group, but it's sometimes it's heartbreaking because you want more of the civil rights organizations to get involved because they've been through this. They know how to get things done, right?
Yeah.
But like you were saying, Dr. Dupree, it was one of those things that it scared them because of the
Right.
2A.
Listen, something I want to bring up, and Brother Fatim brought up a good point of what we should have in place. But the reason we don't have it in place is the fear of. Everybody can't lose everything and start all over.
Yeah.
They're not built like that. Everybody's not built like that. I'll be honest. I didn't think I was built like that until it happened. Sometimes you don't know who you are until adversity hits you dead in the face and you can't do nothing about it. And with that being said, when you put in context those 10 points that Brother Fatim read, it was 1966, 67, the year I was born, 67. We're just coming out of Jim Crowism. We're in the midst of the Vietnam War. And see, that's the thing. We've got to give people a lot, as Brother Fatim said, we got to dig a little bit deeper here and understand why the Black Panthers formulated and began to do what they did, because what they were doing was like, ain't nobody coming to save us but us.
That's right.
And I love when Grandmaster Jay called me privately and we had that conversation. He said, Joe, ain't nobody going to come save you but you. And we have to get to the point that we got to stop being the head nigga in charge. I'm going to call it what it is. Wanting to be the most popular on the totem pole and say to ourselves, if I humble myself and it helps move all my people forward, guess what? Let me not make a few dollars that I need to make. Let me not get a few pats on the back I need to do. And let me humble myself and put myself in a position for the greater good of all my people, not just some of my people.
That's right.
And go ahead, sis.
When he ran for the presidency in 2016, that was his campaign slogan, only we can fix us. And it's still true today. Only we can fix us. We have to unify to do that. We have to be able to have these conversations without putting our feelings in it and dealing with the facts of it and taking responsibility for our role in it.
Yes.
And you being a mindset coach, Sister Jax, that's one thing, taking ownership of our role in a situation and then moving forward. And it's okay. It's okay to say I didn't do enough. It's okay to say, okay, now I'm going to step forward. And like you said, Brother Fatim, not everybody is a leader, but we all have our part to play.
That's right. That's right. And even the best leaders have to know how to follow, right? So that then they can become a leader.
And serving.
Exactly. Service. That's what it's all about. And so often, like Joe said, like we're so busy trying to, be the main one that we don't know how to structure things in life so that people can follow us, so that our legacy lives on, and so that we could definitely impact and create change. We feel that it's going to stop with me and I'm not sharing, I'm going to hold all the information and not share with anybody else. And that's one of our biggest problems. And, it's so unfortunate that when I look back in history and think about my community, how so many people were still against Black folks, against the Black Panther Party. They were too revolutionary or too woke or too, militant, and those others just kind of like sat back and just, like you say, Joe, Motisa, Motisa, like they just, sit back and let it happen. So it's time for us to just really become invigorated and actually do something about it. And it's not just for the moment, it's for the movement, and we talk about that, but we actually have to
say that. Say that again, Jax. Say that. Somebody did not hear that. It's not for the what? It's for the go. Say that one more again.
Not for the moment. It's for the movement.
Come
right?
On.
And I'm so excited.
Love
It's
that.
kind of off topic a little bit, but it still ties in. What you guys talking about all this Black Panther stuff? I'm so excited because my husband and I were invited to, it's like a date night, right? So it's at a location, and the theme is revolutionaries. Right. So we're going to pick out a Black Panther, not Black Panther, Black Panther Party type costume. Not really costume, but just how we dress. So I'm so excited. So you guys have me hyped up. So what do y'all think we should wear?
Wear NFAC t-shirts. Grandmaster J shirt. Wear Grandmaster J shirt.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I buy one from somewhere, sis?
Yes, miss the article.com. Yes, I'll put it in the chat. Yes.
Yeah, put it in the chat.
Everybody needs to
Yeah.
go to those shirts then.
Yeah, let me just come back on this real quick. So, as you talked about what I said about leaders and followers, and Jax, I love what you say. Leaders got to also need to follow. It made me think of Dr. King, drum major, instinct speech, and he talked about basically. And I don't want to go through this long thing here of Dr. King on that, but he explored this whole thing where he talked about the universal human desire to be first or important, and warned of these dangers when misused for selfishness or materialism. So he said we have to redefine greatness through service.
Mm-hmm.
He urged people to channel their instinct towards service and humility, emphasizing that true greatness comes from helping others and advancing justice. He critique of social inequality. King denounced racism, classism, and materialism, highlighting how the drum major instinct fuels social and economic divisions. Legacy of service and love. He expressed a desire to be remembered for his commitment to service, love, and justice, encouraging others to focus on uplifting humanity rather than personal accolades. And I bring that up because I've seen a lot of organizations, civil rights organizations, churches, people that had that problem of me first because of the ego. And a lot of people don't know how to even walk in the room and check their ego at the damn door. You understand what I'm saying? So that's when Dr. King came out about that. That's why I said a lot of things that Dr. King was kind of above people. And I say above people because, you know, if you read his books, don't read books that were written about him. Read books that Dr. King wrote. You got to have a dictionary and an etymology dictionary there so you could understand some of the things that he was on point and kind of beyond his time. But this is truth, and this is why Grandmaster Jay, it was such a breath of fresh air. And I'm glad I got him on BLS, but I hate why I had to get him on BLS because of the situation that he was up against. He couldn't talk about everything because he had a trial coming up. You understand? And you got to realize that he was out on, what do you call that? I don't forget. He was out on bail. And he had to temper what he had to say, not water down what he said. Fatin ain't saying that. Because you go to Open Line and you Open Line on Facebook, WBLS Facebook page, put in Grandmaster Jay, you will come up with the video. Matter of fact, it's the first and only time that our server was shut down by the number of people that watched that program. Joe was on that program that day. And he was such a breath of fresh air because he made you think. And yes, I was captivated by how he connected the dots. But then I looked deeper into what he was saying, because a lot of times I keep saying he was not about preaching, he was about teaching. And that was what he did in his messages. He taught, he left you with instruction. Right. That was so important. And a lot of leaders do not know how to do that. And that's cool. That's their lane. They preach. And I'm not saying there's not good preachers out there. But you got to realize we got to teach the masses, especially those that are not informed. That's right.
Amen.
You know,
or misinformed. I'm sorry, not informed or misinformed.
Right. Because there's so much, like I said, disinformation, misinformation, and straight up lies. You know, it's funny that you brought up about Dr. King and service. And I translated this. And a lot of folks think every time they see this on my page, I got this from John Wick. This did not come from John Wick. It actually came from the Council of Saladin, from back in the Crusades, where he was sitting down amongst his nobles before they were getting ready to take Constantinople, which is now known as Jerusalem. And he said the following to his people, because they said, if we're out here fighting for this, what are you doing? And he said, man, I'm here to serve and to be of service for nothing or nobody, including myself. It's bigger than this table. Yeah. Because the table had all the people who were trying to win their religious freedoms and fight against the Crusaders. Understand this. And I know folks say, well, you got that from John. No, that John Wick got that from the Council of Saladin. So let me say this. We all have to understand that nothing is bigger than the purpose of us being free. And we're not free until all of us are free. And we have to be honest, all of us are not free.
That's right. But and you know why? Also, a lot of us are not free. It goes back to what Fatine is saying. Some of us are not informed.
Right.
You know, some of us are misinformed, but we forgot the other pocket of it. Some of us don't want to be informed.
That part.
We don't want it. You know, right? We don't. And so it makes me go back to think about on today's date, January 8th, in 1811, it was a big slave revolt in Louisiana. Right? So about 500 slaves were, they revolted, but many of them were killed. They ended up killing 2 white men, but they also burnt down a ton of plantations and crops and all this kind of stuff as a revolt to escape, to try to get their freedom. But what happened? Many of them were killed and also beheaded. And then their heads were put on stakes on the top of a pole and lined up for people to see. But guess what? I guarantee you the majority, if not all of those, men, young men, women, old women, if they could do it all over again, they still would have revolted to stand up for the cause, even though that became their demise. But it's still part of the process. So we can't be afraid to stand up, step up, and be part of the process instead of just being spectators.
And Sister Jax, when you say exactly, amen. When Sister Jax, you put that out, I responded there. There was so many revolts here in the United States. You need to understand, and you really need to understand what the hell has happened and what has gone on in Haiti and their revolution and what they went against and how they won. But one of the things that we don't do.
That's in the Bible, tribe of Levi. The Haitians are the tribe of Levi, according to scripture, in the 12 tribes. So look at that. Look at that history. That's deep. But go ahead, Fatine.
Right. So, and thank you, Sister Jax. And you got to connect the dots on this. Because if you look back at a lot of American revolutionary leaders, there's a difference. There's revolutionary leaders and there's civil rights leaders, there's human rights leaders, there's all kind of different leadership. But when you look at some of the revolutionary leaders here, they look back into the continent of Africa. They look back at the leadership in Africa. And when I started, I never forget, and I talk about this a lot. And this just is the tip of the iceberg. When Nelson Mandela was released, I was coming into the whole thing of South Africa. I remember watching the movie about Stephen Biko, who was like Nelson Mandela. The difference is he got killed in prison. Stephen Biko got killed in prison. Nelson Mandela, and shout out to his queen at the time, Winnie Mandela. I don't care what happened after. She was a warrior that stood by her king.
That's right. During
those 7 years of him being held as a political prisoner. But when I listened to Nelson Mandela, here's a man, he reminded me something of what a Bruce Lee. Walk in a room, hi, how you doing? But Bruce Lee came out like this. You better watch out. You understand what I'm saying? He was a dangerous man. Nelson Mandela looked like an easygoing man. But when he spoke, his words will knock you on your ass. He didn't water down nothing. He didn't buck or scratch. And he didn't let America, as big as America, you're not going to tell me who your enemies are on that. They don't have to be my enemies. So when you come and question me about Fidel Castro and what Cuba and Fidel Castro had done for South Africa, hold your tongue. You want to take that propaganda, you put it on your people, but you damn sure ain't going to put it on me. And that's what we don't do, is we don't connect the dots globally. We look at things domestically. And sometimes you don't see how you can grow and see other people's perspective and how they stand up against apartheid or through racism. That's why when we get some of the weak examples of Black men and Black women here in America, it's a sad situation. And I'm not promoting violence, but those individuals that would have done that, they would have had that tire put around them and set on fire.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? You cannot sell out your people. That is one of the worst treasons that you can do to your people, is sell them out and sell them out to your enemy.
That's right. That's right.
Right, Fatine.
That's right.
I had a conversation about that last night. And you know what? It's so many people just, even in our own community, that do that. They will sell you out to their enemy just for them to get some props or recognition.
$1 and a chicken dinner.
for $1 in the chicken dinner. Yep.
And then you ask, why do I come so hard? Because there's people that come harder. You know, I come up, you know, and I don't have to name the people, but I remember just, you know, meeting, and I was on the Phil Donahue show when, of course, when Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was there to talk about the Million Man March. I was there. I'm glad I was blessed. I remember when we brought the late Minister Khalid Muhammad on Open Line, we ended up bringing him back because somebody wanted to say, and it was Mtume. Mtume said to him how he said it. He said, brother, this is when Minister Khalid went down as part of, not the nation, but I think it was part of the New Black Panther Party. And he went down to a Jasper, Texas. James Byrd was dragged. You see what I'm saying? Look at what they did. They chained this man or hitched him up to a pickup truck and dragged him till he died.
That is so soft.
You want me to be soft? So they went down there with loaded weapons. Remember, we talking about NAFA. Before NAFA, they went down there with loaded weapons. But before there was the Panthers. But they went down there. And before there was slave rebellions. But they went down to protest James Byrd. And then Mtume said, you know, I'm getting people saying that when you guys went down there, your weapons wasn't loaded. I need you to clarify that. And it was going off to the program. And Mtume said, when I do my research, brother, you could come back on the program. I'm not saying that was. I'm bringing up what got back to me. The Minister Khalid said, that's not true. The week later, Mtume brought him back and said, brother, even though I brought it up, I apologize for even presenting that to you. Because from my research and your word, your weapons were loaded, ready to go. But see, that kind of information, when the media gets hold of that, they're going to twist it. They're going to make us, they're going to make us look like the villain. We didn't drag nobody till that their body parts came off them. So you want us to water down? I don't forget these things. So when the folks and some of the folks come in the chat and you give me some mediocre B crap, I don't have time for it because I don't. I remember the James. Don't give me this kumbaya holding hands. I'm sorry, but until the adversary people and those that benefit from the systemic racism society, I'm not worried about your feelings. I don't give a damn. Because until you stand up and call out what the atrocities that this damn systemic system has done to us as a people, I don't give a damn about your feelings.
That's right. And you know, Fatina, it even goes back so far in history when, you know, when I see these images of our oppressors actually taking babies from a mother or a father and feeding them to alligators, using them a baby as gator bait, and taking babies and bashing them up against a stone wall or a side of a mountain until they just explode and bloody, and feed it to dogs. I mean, it's just horrific. You know, I mean, even if you go back to, you know, Christ, being hung, you know, they continue to do the same things. What does KKK do to this day? They'll still put a cross on somebody's lawn, you know, as a symbol of what they, you know, what was done, you know, back to our foremothers and forefathers. So it is wicked as hell. And, you know, but we don't get it. We don't get it. So we got to wake up. We have to wake up.
May I just add really quickly? I have to run for another meeting, but I do want to say thank you all for this conversation. Very important conversation and all that you do. And then also just your support of Grandmaster Jay. Just a real quick on status update. We're still waiting to hear from the courts. He does have a petition before the courts regarding his compassionate release. This has to do with his health, you know, with the open heart surgery and getting the proper care that he needs there. We also still have the pardon in front of the pardon attorney and the White House requesting a full pardon for him. So we're still waiting response for both of those. The GoFundMe, Grandmaster Jay's Legal Defense Fund, is still fully active because in the event that we have to take this further to the Supreme Court, we're prepared to do that. And you can find all information on justice4gmj.com. And if you want to purchase any support items for Grandmaster Jay, there's a magazine that was produced back in May to honor his 2 years of being incarcerated. Tale of Two Leaders is an excellent magazine that's out there. I can share the link to one of you in your DM. But if we can all just continue to keep him lifted in prayer as he continued to heal and continue to fight for his liberation, because he's endured quite a bit over the last 2.5 years that he's been there. He lost his mother, of course, with the open heart surgery, and then just being in there, being railroaded, being there in the first place. But he does have a case number assigned now to the pardon, which is great. At first, it was just his inmate number, trying to find out where he is on the list. But now that he has a case number assigned, when calling, emailing, refer to the case number, and follow Operation Bring Him Home on all platforms for any updates. And I just really thank you all for allowing me to come onto your show and share the information. And thank you for your support. Continue to fight for him, and the mission continues until we can bring him home. Thank you
And
so much.
Crystal, soon as you
Yes.
get off, put all that information in the chat. Just put it in the Facebook chat. I did put the JMJ website and where you can buy the shirts, but put all the other information in the chat
Yes.
again. Having it put in there more than once doesn't hurt a thing. So put it in there where folks can, get back and get
Yes.
and continue to pray for my brother.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you
ma'am.
all.
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am. We
Thank you, Sister
You have a
Crystal.
blessing.
Thank you. Bye-bye. You all be great.
You too.
And you got to help me get out of here because I don't know.
You gone. That was
Wow.
our girl right there. So, this is what we do. This is what we do. Brother Fatim does it quite often. We bring people on when you least expect us to bring them on, and we talk about the issues that matter in our community, because Grandmaster Jay could be you.
That's right.
One of you.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking, I don't want to get on this boat today. I don't want to get on this boat, but I just see how information is for all of us. And I said what I said Monday, and I meant what I said. I'm just so thankful for this. But I'm sitting here thinking, we need more information. So I'm probably going to submit a proposal to BLS. They probably will knock it down, because I probably will compete against Steve Harvey. But we need information. We cannot just be 1 week or what Joe has proven, that this podcast going 5 days a week is so important. And any day of a hiatus just does not work for us as a people. It slows our momentum down. We can't pause, because our fight for liberation doesn't pause. The enemy doesn't pause. So we need information out here. So I just feel obligated to figure out a way that information has to continue out here. We got to do this on a daily basis, because I'm just seeing how effective we are. And, when I do a 2 or 3 hour program on BLS on a Sunday, and I appreciate all the support, and a lot of people are here in the chat that are over there, I appreciate it, but it's just not enough. And, when you're part of the radio music world, they do their obligation and BLS goes beyond, because they only have to do one talk show. They have Open Line on air. They got Reverend Sharpton on air.
Oh, yeah.
They got Imhotep Gary Bird on air. These are all talk shows. Then you got David Levy on Sunday night with his Caribbean show, rocking you. But he has important commentary. The mayor goes on his show. New York City mayor goes on his show. New York City mayor goes on Imhotep Gary Bird. Newark mayor comes on my show. Then we have Open Line Online. And so I got to give BLS kudos for that, of realizing the importance of the sound of the drum of information. So I can't criticize if they do not take this, but it got to be some way, because we got this information, and I'm looking like there's a void, and there's a void here, and we got to not have a pause too long, because information is key. And right now we got a new administration coming in, and so many things are coming down the pipeline that we got to make sure that it's on the table to discuss.
So let me say the following, because I was blessed from a call yesterday that made me realize something. We have to own it. I'm not going to say who called me. We had a great conversation. The reason that the Most High has blessed me, and it's not me, but he that works above me and operates in me, is because he blessed me with ownership. See, if you go to if you go to this website here, I own this website. I put on it whatever I want to put on it. I'm not regulated by the FCC. I'm not regulated by the FCC. Not at all.
You can get sponsorship over there, correct? See, I don't know how you set up.
I have plenty of sponsorship. And at the end of the day, my website, this podcast and other things, I have means of income streams that I do that have to do with this podcast that don't have to do with this podcast. If some of y'all don't know what royalties are because y'all don't operate in that space, I get royalties from football games that your kids play that my voice is on that you don't know it's my voice because I don't put everything out there that I do. My finances is my finances, as I tell other folks. At the end of the day, I own this.
So if you own that, Joe, then we should have a conversation about sponsorship that this program can continue, but we have to bring in finance, bro.
Okay. Hold on, Brother Fatim. Let me finish. And then I'll let you say your piece.
I said everything I want to say right there.
Okay. Well, at the end of the day, let me say this then. This show has always been available for anybody who has any products or services that they want to sell or promote to the public. They could talk to myself, Brother Fatim, or Sister Jax. I have made that clear since day one of this. Be exact, if you rewind the tape in the month of February, we gave away highlighting Black businesses, highlighting people for free. Yeah. Because I own it, I can do that. My overhead is my overhead. Now, unfortunately, and I'll say this again, I remember when I first did this show, I made it clear, and I'm thankful to WBLS, brother, because Brother Fatim works for an entity that at any given day could have called him and said, "No, man, you can't do that. You can't do that." I don't work for an entity. My days of working for entities are over because I know how entities can say, "You can't do this, you can't do that." I work for Joe.
Same.
This is mine. I own 100 BLK. I own hashtag Truth Be Told. It is registered. It is mine. The logos, everything. I own it. Now, in ownership, you'll come to find out that folks don't mind listening to a WBLS or what we have here, a KNEK, or dealing with these corporations who play music and make you dance. Because the truth about it is, brother, you're just 1%. That talk show on BLS isn't what make BLS click. Because if it was, they have y'all talking all day long. At the end of the day, BLS is a music radio station that just says, in order to appease certain folks and not make them feel like we just literally draining you of your goodness of the community, we're going to give you this slither of time where you can put your points out there, but we're going to do it where whenever it's said, well, y'all really ain't concerned. Yeah, we do. We do these talk shows. We do these talk shows.
Well, let me just say, let's clarify that real quick. So I'm not to take away from.
Let me finish. What we need to do as a people, and you inspired me yesterday with Brother Blake's, because Dr. Blake's made me realize something. Me going away may be what brings up the groundswell that somebody else takes the torch and runs with it and wins. I hope they do. Because at the end of the day, you can never discredit what has happened for this last year.
Amen.
The blueprint is there. You have to own it. I encourage, because we'll be back. We'll be back. I don't know we'll be back in the same configuration we are right now, but I'll be back. Let me rephrase that. I want we to be back, but I will be back May the 1st or June the 1st. And guess what? I pray that in the meantime and in between time, should y'all be lacking anything, I pray somebody does own it, pick up the torch, and run with it. I did my part.
So let me just say this real quick. So just for clarity, because I'm not countering Joe what he said about BLS. I'm not defending that. I agree with it. Just know the history that WLIB was birthed first. WLIB was the AM station. Once BLS came into existence, BLS had the FM dial became the largest signal. The frequency of the FM signal was much stronger and wider than the AM signal. So what they did is they took LIB and what they took on the music-driven station, they put on the FM dial. And then LIB, which was part of inner city, black owned at that particular time, became the talk. It became talk and became gospel to give the heartbeat of the black community. So I credit them for making sure it wasn't just about the slither, but Joe's right about that. When you deal with a music-driven radio station, to keep their license, they have to do what is called public affairs. They only have to do 1 hour of public affairs. BLS made that commitment to do that. That's not being said. What I'm saying, and I'm not the person that gonna go behind the doors, where we dropped the ball here is when I said 6 months in, we should have had a discussion about monetary, because I don't care if we say to people, we didn't come up with a proposal to present to businesses that we could do this, that we could. But since Joe just said that, then you got to take what's in your hand. And you got to do that. As Joe said, he will be back. He has to do what he has to do for what he has to do. And I applaud him. And I applaud it. That's why I started with that. But this doesn't sit well with me because we dropped the ball. I'm not looking at nobody in the chat. Joe, Fatine, and Jax, we dropped the ball because we didn't come back when I said we should come back at 6 months. And we didn't come up with proposals how we could create a money stream. And now we're in this predicament. But you know what? Sometimes these things have to happen to motivate and move us to move. And maybe this is what I need because I've been hearing it for a long time. Because damn it, this information got to continue. But it got to be continued. I can't do this for free. The type of programming, it got to be where it's not just about money. This is a business. But it's about informing our people that we can do this so we can travel. Joe said he gets sponsorship for Essence. I don't get no damn sponsorship for Essence. I got a foot my way. So if we bring in this information, then we got to turn this into business. Just like I brought up Roland Martin. Roland Martin busts his ass, but he gets the dollars so he can travel to do what he has to do. So I look at us and say, we dropped the damn ball. I call a spade a spade. But do what we do. We don't wallow in that. We learn from that. And that's what I'm saying. Because that's all I can't tell you. I'm sad, but I'm angry right now.
Fatine, I feel you. I feel what you're saying. But with all due respect, I still feel that some things are meant for the back office, right? Some things you keep in the house. Whether we was getting paid or whether we weren't getting paid, we knew what we were getting into when Joe asked us to
We knew that,
right?
We had a conversation when we started this that we would revisit that. I agree with you. You gotta have your opinion. I'm not the kind of back office kind of conversation. When we call out other people and other organizations like we did today, I can look at us because I'm part of the problem too. And when I'm part of the problem, I'm never scared to say, I dropped the ball. I'm part of the problem because we didn't do that.
No, I understand. But Fatine, I feel as though being that this is Joe's show, technically, this is his platform, this is his show. Like you wouldn't go on BLS and tell them y'all niggas ain't pay me or how you were supposed to do it.
You don't know me. I guess you don't know me. I wouldn't really go there. I don't really want to take it there, Jax. Yeah. I'm not that kind of person, but I will do that. Yeah.
For me, I just want to respect, Joe, and I know,
respecting. I'm talking about us as a collective. I'm not saying Joe, because I'd be wrong if I say Joe. I said we, because we said we were going to revisit it. Just interject. Am I telling any lie on what I said?
No. I'm not disputing what you're saying, Fatine, but I'm just saying I think on the platform publicly that this is not the arena to do that.
I mean, that's your opinion.
Behind the scenes,
I don't water down. I say what I got to say.
Yeah.
Well, hold it.
Wait, 1 second, Joe. 1 second, Joe.
Go ahead,
Joe also did tell us on numerous occasions, we can take this platform, do what we want to do with it. If we need extra money or if we need whatever, and monetize it however we see fit. We can do that. So that availability was out there. Now, if any of us, did not do that, that's still on us. But he still did give us the opportunity to monetize on it as well. Thank God, Joe is, in a good space. I'm in a good space. We all have different spaces that we're in. So it wasn't such a push, but we still know we need to step up and do some things. I'm just saying certain conversations need to be held between the three of us offline. And then we can do what we need to do.
And let me make something crystal clear to y'all. Mm-hmm. Brother Marcus just put something in there. Thank you, Brother Marcus. But let me say the following. Had I not needed to leave Monday,
Yeah.
and go and do what I need to do for the next 15 weeks, we still be doing hashtag truth be told.
Mm-hmm.
However, once again, because I have something that I have to do for my family, and my family comes above everything.
Amen.
My significant other, my wife, my children, my grandchildren, and my future generations. What I am doing is positioning myself. As I told y'all, I wasn't playing. Go back and rewind the tape. Adjunct professor loading this year. Dr. Anderson, Dr. Dupree, or Dr. Dupree Anderson, whatever you want to call, not honorary, for PhD loading this year.
Mm-hmm.
I got stuff I got to go get, because in my procrastination, in my slothfulness, in my so busy trying to take care of everybody else, I didn't take care of myself. And now I'm putting self first. Sorry, y'all. I know that sounds a little selfish, but at 57 years, I should have been here a long time ago, probably about 20 years ago, but I was too busy trying to make sure everybody else was in order. And I think I've done the best I can do. Now it's time for me to take care of me and make sure that what I do makes it that my wife's life is easier, my children's life is easier, my grandchildren's life is easier, and the future generations can look at me and say, you know what, Papa Joe, he hung in there, and at 57, he went back and did what most 57-year-olds wouldn't have did. He went and got what he should have got when he was in his 20s and 30s.
That's
I'm
right.
telling you.
And Joe, you know what?
Let me just respond, Sister Jack, to both of y'all.
Okay.
That I respect that. I mean, if you listen to everything that I said, I agreed with that. I said, Joe has to go get what he says. And Joe said, if I don't go away, we wouldn't. No. We was going to have this conversation, because I didn't realize we was a year here. I didn't realize until I went back and looked at the thing. I was like, oh God,
Yeah,
wait. What are we doing? What are we doing? We got to, and if it stayed with me, I'm just saying that just listen to everything I said on this program. I'm consistent. That's why I say this is not a conversation for the back room, Jacks. You know why? Because what I'm saying that we experience, we talk about, and I go hard at it. You take the head out, the body dies. Joe leaves. He gives the opportunity for us to continue. He's not selfish like that. He doesn't say, I'm packing up my pail and my sand and I'm going from the sandbox and we can't play. He's not saying that.
Yeah.
He's not saying that. But what I'm saying is,
have offered, but other folks
I've
to
said that. But what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is the bigger picture is the big, like Marcus just said, when he said, I'll be willing to buy an ad. That's why I said we didn't come up with proposals. I don't care what individual. Remember, we are collective. Yeah. If that came out of our collective meeting and decided to say, this is how we doing it collectively, this is how we do it individually, but we didn't come together and put that plan in place. We should not have to have this conversation. That's why I didn't have this conversation behind the back wall, because I want people to see this, because you never know who somebody's going to come and say, not only from an ad, I'll cut a check for so-and-so. Make sure that let me just finish. So I'm not about always discussing the back room, because I'm not about blaming one person, especially if I'm also at fault. I'm willing to say I was not, we could have done this better. Because this is something that I'm so not caught up, but what Joe has done, I haven't seen in a long time on the platform. You understand? He came out here on the level.
You're leaving one thing out. What Joe has done on his own dime has never.
I'm not finished. Joe, what I'm saying is what you've done is collective. What you've done. What Joe has done, that's collective, brother. Dime, time, commitment, sacrifice, it's all there. So what I'm saying is you came out with something and then you brought us in and it hit the track just running, but it hit the track at this level. With the production, we can do a lot of things where Joe don't even have to add things. We send things to Joe, say, okay, let me bring this up. Even though Joe is doing a lot.
For
We don't
sure.
have a producer that can prepare these things for us and this, that, and that. I'm not bitching and moaning. What I'm saying is we got to sometimes use ourselves as an example so other people can learn from that. That's why, Jax, I'm sorry, I
Yeah, no, I
cannot
feel
bring this to the back room because
Yeah, no.
I think it's a teaching moment, and part of it is that I'm part of the collective. So what I'm saying is not Joe, not you, but us as a collective,
Yeah.
something that we fell down on, that somebody else, I don't want them. If we keep talking about the future, I don't want the young people or somebody else that's doing what we're doing. I want them to be successful and take that to the next level. And sometimes we have to expose our skirts sometimes to let people know. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you know, if you look at it from this perspective also, you know, even big talk shows, they take a hiatus. You know what I'm saying? They you know, reboot for the next season. So you know what? If this is our
2-week
reboot,
hiatus is different than 6-month hiatus, but go ahead.
I mean, but you know, Fatih, guess what? You have the controls, right? You have the ability to control the show as well with Joe's, you know, green light and thumbs up.
But it has to be in a different manner. It has to be in a different manner. I mean, me and you may have a conversation and have this conversation, but I'm just saying that this is good for a teacher moment. Look beyond hashtag truth be told. Look beyond Joe, Sister Jackson, Fatine right now and say, how can we as a people, as we are doing certain things in life, how that we got to stay on our game and bring up certain things that we need to discuss. Don't start doing things and say you're going to do something, you're going to have a conversation, you're going to do it, and then don't do it. That's all I'm saying. Learn from this. Don't look at this, because if you look at this personally, then you look like it's a personal attack. No, I want us all to learn. This is a learning moment for me. This is a learning moment for me. And that's all I can say.
And I appreciate that, brother. Let me say this. Many a times I come on this platform, you'd be surprised. And once again, it's Sister Jack said it so beautifully, so many times. You can go back and look at the podcast when she said it. You got to guard your time. So many times I get an inbox from somebody I barely know that says, hey, man, I'm watching your podcast. How do y'all do that? And then my response to them is, here's my phone number. Give me a call. When they call me, our first 15 minutes of a conversation might be, hey, man, this is the platform I use. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I know that. I see that. But I've been on there and I don't do what you do. Then I tell them, I have a small fee I can charge you and I can help you set it up like I set up. You don't know how many, because I don't talk all my business on a public platform. You don't know how many times during the week, the month, that I get those type of emails, conversations. If I've got 20 folks asking me how you do what you do, and I say, well, I'm going to charge you 20 folks $100 to show you how I do it. At the end of the day, here's what I tell people. The opportunity to make money is always there. You have to know how to guard your time and use your time wisely to make money.
That's right.
The reason I keep getting up and off on here, and no offense to y'all, is because I'm getting ready to go to another job. I'm going to only be able to go 10 minutes overtime. And the truth about the matter, I'm going to call you back, Tim. I'm going to call you back as soon as I set up phone lines. You know, I can't show you my whole studio because the camera, and I won't show you my whole studio. Because at the end of the day, it's just not me with a microphone and a laptop. I've got a lot of equipment here that does a lot of stuff. And I do a lot of things outside of this podcast, outside of my regular 9 to 5. All I'm saying is to everybody out there listening, if you want to be successful, last year taught me that you can lose a very good paying job. You can have everybody black and brown turn their back on you. But if you trust in yourself and the Most High, in a year's time, that whole situation can turn around. I'm right now making more money than I was making last year. I give that all to the Most High. It wasn't on me. I only use the gifts that He gave me to work the work. I always tell people, if you work the work, you'll get the results. At the end of the day, a closed mouth never gets fed. And sometimes you got to open up your mouth, and you got to open up your mouth, not just in public places. Behind the veil, you got to look at folks and say, oh, I'm struggling with this. And if you would sponsor me on this, you would do it. You'd be surprised. Yes, I got sponsorship to Essence because I opened up my mouth to an old friend of mine and said, man, look like I can't get nobody to help me get to Essence this year. He said, give me 10 minutes. Call me back and said, hey, come to my place and pick up a check. Sometimes you don't You have not because you ask not. And you have not because you're not speaking to the right people. Once again, you got to guard your time and know what to say, when to say it, and how to say it to get the results. I get a royalty check from EA Sports because I did voice work for EA Sports. I have plenty of equipment and I have plenty of work to get plenty of stuff done. All I'm saying is guard your time and do what you need to do. At the end of the day, I'll be back in May. I pray other folks be back in May. But guess what I've learned? I've had people come on this show and leave this show, and the show went on. I'll come on the show and leave the show go on, because I didn't set it up to be the Joe Dupree show. I set it up to be hashtag truth be told, where you could begin to think. Now, what to think or how to think, and you could tell your truth. So whoever wants to come on here and take my place until I get back, come on here and tell your truth. You're welcome. I'm still paying the bill. I'm still paying the bill.
And we appreciate you for that, Joe. And it's funny what you're saying, because actually on the Sabbath, actually on Saturday, I got a call from somebody else that wants me to do a podcast and ask the same questions. How do you do what you do? Basically, I couldn't have that conversation. It was the Sabbath, so I didn't, even get into it. But I mean, there's definitely, opportunity. We were doing, speaking publicly and doing what we do and on air before hashtag truth be told. We are on it during hashtag, and we're gonna be doing that after hashtag truth be told. So I don't plan on going anywhere. Of course, I'm going to continue to expand and grow, because that's what I do, with my business anyway. So, but Joe, I just want to commend you and thank you. I know you come out of pocket for it. I've offered to pitch in and pay, and you told me no.
And I said no.
Yeah, you said no. So I definitely appreciate you, and I appreciate our viewers. Fatine, I always appreciate your frankness, and I know that everything happens for good for those that love the Lord, right? So I know that we all love the Most High in whatever capacity we do. So we just have to, at this moment, have faith and trust in Him, and we have to keep on doing the work, so that when God sees us doing the work, He's going to put us in position and put us however we need to be, and give us the resources that we need to do what it is that we do. And I know even for me, this opportunity is so serious, because I've been offered contracts and other job opportunities that I said, I'm sorry, but I can't start my day until about noon. You know what I'm saying? When my show is open, because this is what I do in the morning. And so I have companies try to work behind the scenes to try to figure out, how can we contract with you? And, you come here to do X amount of hours, but still do your podcast in the morning. So I've had to turn stuff down, good paying things turned down, to sit here for free and still do this. But it's about the information I'm able to share and disseminate out with you guys to our audience. And I know that God continues to bless me either way. So when one door closes, another door opens. So I look forward to walking through the next doors, with you guys. And it's just like a little hiatus. It's like almost like a summer break when talk shows go on a little summer break. So, but Fatine, I'm here. So if you got the controls, so if you decide to say, you know what, let's hop on a couple days a week or once a week or whatever, I'm rocking with you, Fatine. I'll still be there until JoJo returns after handling his handle. But we all got to handle our handle during this time, as well. Continue to handle our handle. So I love y'all. But I know you got to run, Joe.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes past the hour. So since you just said that, I'm going to do this a little differently. Brother Fatine, you got some closing remarks, brother?
No, I don't go first.
Fatine is such a bully. Fatine, you a damn bully, Fatine.
I say what, I just don't, I just learned that, I just learned in life that we just not good at having a conversation about us. We wind up turning it into it personal, and you gotta be able to have a conversation. I've been in the rooms where there's been a lot of back and forth, and I've seen it, but I've seen them, how they got all that out the way, and then they look at the bigger picture. This is not about Joe. This is not about Fatine. It's not about Jax. It's just that it came together that we are involved in this. It's not about what, it's bigger than that. And sometimes I just listen. That's why my face was like that. Because it's not about, it's about what do we learn? I mean, because it's like, I don't, because I've seen this happen. That's why I sit back. And it's a time when there is a personal attack that you have to respond. But then there is constructive criticism that you don't need to make an excuse for. You look at it for what it is and say, look, I commended everybody, but I talked about an issue bigger than this. that made it say, we got to do better. We can't continue to say to our people they need to do better, but then we don't take those steps to do better. And where do we fall down? And when we fall down, how can we use this as a teaching moment, not only to us, but to those that we try to teach or preach to at times doing this show? So when we can, that's why I just shake my head, because if we cannot have that conversation without making it personal and looking at it, you know what, brother, that's right. This is what we could have done. We didn't do it this way. This is how we could do it better. And when we do that, but people sometimes, because we take it personal, I've been there and I've taken things personal. So somebody schooled me and said, look at the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. When you look at the bigger picture, that's why I just sat there and I just listened, because it's not about Joe, Jax, and Fatim. It's about us as a people, yes, and what we talk about on this show. So that's what I'm saying. It's not personal. How do we, I just looked at the 10 minutes we talked. Mm-hmm. Nothing I'll be honest with y'all, nothing came out of it except personal points of view. Personal points of view, but in the sense of how we could do this better. How we could do this better. I want to say we could have said, Joe could have came back and said, well, Fatim, we should have set up this or this, that, and other. That's where we start to build. I want to build the building blocks. I don't want to talk about blaming.
But Brother Fatim, Amazon, Tesla, Facebook, even the United States government don't discuss their processes on an open line, because then there are certain trade secrets that are your trade secrets. At the end of the day, Brother Fatim, I right now, if I need it, hold it. If I needed work right now, let's just say I was dead broke, didn't have a dime, didn't have nothing to do. I've got 10 people I can call in this phone right now and I can get work, not borrow money. I can call them and say, hey, do you have such and such? Can I write you a commercial? Can I do this? And I don't have to tell them I'm broke. I can call them and say, hey, I'm just calling. It's the beginning of the year. Do you need such and such? And I promise you, out of those 10 people I call, 5 of them going to come back and say, well, Joe, let me get back with you. If I don't have something, maybe I know somebody who's looking for something. Once again, you got to use what you got to get what you need. That's my response to the whole situation. At the end of the day, if you don't have, just like tomorrow, I have no shame in my game. I'll throw this out to anybody. Tomorrow, I got 3 events I'm doing after #Truth Be Told that's going to make me some money. Going to make me some good money. Going to make me maybe more money than some folks making a whole month.
Joe, that's what the point. That don't have nothing to do with us building a business on this platform. That doesn't have, that's what I'm saying. And y'all, look. Y'all look like...
I got to
saying
go.
That. I'm just saying.
I got to go. If anything, this is shown, and I'm going to let you have your final word. If anything, this is shown is what most Black folks are famous for: last minute procrastination. And now that it's about to come to an end, now we start throwing up all these red flags and red lights. And that's what we got to stop doing, because the end of this thing is you made it best. 6 months ago, we should have had a conversation, not on this platform. We should have had it behind the veil. For some odd reason, Brother Fatim, Sister Jax, nor Joe had that conversation. And guess what? The day has come. I have to leave on Monday. That's not changing. And guess what? If you're not going to take the controls and move forward, then guess what? We'll be back in May or June. At the end of the day, that's just how it goes. And at the end of the day, guess what? For a whole year, Brother Fatim, with all the success of this show, nobody has got a check from, quote unquote, the show. But I have got plenty of financial opportunities presented to me through the show that I have taken very good, quick. I quickly grabbed it by the rein and said, wait a minute, how can I help you? So at the end of the day, it's really what we're showing is don't be last minute procrastinators. Right now, Friday will be here. You can't stop it. Monday will come. You can't stop it. Only person that can stop time is the Most High himself. And the work, guess what? One monkey don't stop no show, and the earth gonna keep on turning with or without you. So with that being said, I got to get out of here to my other job. Sister Jax, give me some closing words.
Peace out. Joe gotta go. Tim got something to say, but Tim, maybe you could call in tomorrow and share, because I can't wait to hear what you guys say, Tim. If nobody told you today they love you, y'all know who loves you. Y'all know who loves you? Your girl Jax. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow, Lord's will, and then maybe one other day after that, and then we'll be back in full effect in some way, shape, or form. But peace out. Be safe, guys. See y'all soon.
That part, brother Fatim. Give me some closing words, brother.
I think, first of all, first of all, I love my team. Love Brother Joe, Sister Jax. I thank Crystal D. Woods for coming on. And I do. I mean, but I don't have a problem telling, just like Joe can pick up the phone or say to me, Brother Fatim, you're wrong, or whatever. I don't have a problem, with that. I think the conversation today on the show, and we talked about leadership and talked about Brother Grandmaster Jay. If you put all this, the whole conversation, look at what I've been saying about the head and what happened to NAFAC, and not to say that they are not doing things underground that maybe not being publicized. I don't know. I'm not part of their organization, but what I'm saying is that we cannot say, like Joe goes off and say, we got to be better today than we were yesterday. And if we are, I'm just not scared to bring up sometimes, because sometimes when we don't do something, like Joe said 6 months ago, then after a while, and see, mine just doesn't do with here. It's some other things that we as procrastinators, like with Open Line, it's certain things that have not been saved because of procrastination. I'll just go right there real quick. Some of our shows have not been saved because of the procrastination of Ntume telling Brother Slade, we need to send our tapes and CDs offsite to Iron Mountain, which is a facility that keeps these kind of data storage for banks and everything. And now look what happened. So through the love of my people and the love of the work that we do, that we can't go back to the archive. We can go to the archive for here. But that's what I'm saying. It comes a time that we have to start talking about this and exposing it, because we got to get better in doing this type of show. And that's all I'm saying. So that's it.
All right, Brother Fatim, Sister Jax, always nothing but love. Listen, family, all I can tell y'all is what I always say. Be better today than you were yesterday, and do something today to be a blessing to someone somewhere, that no matter what you do, there's no earthly way they could ever pay you back, because you did it and released it in order for them to be better. Always remember, there is no secret. Absolutely no secret what God can do. What he has done for others, he will and he can do for you. For when God is with you, nothing or no one can stand against you. With that being said, on the behalf of Brother Fatim, Sister Jax, yours truly, Joe Dupree, on this Work It Out Wednesday, we're going to make our way to Turn Up Thursday. Turn down for what? Y'all have a great hump day. And don't forget, hashtag truth be told. Now let's go get something to eat. We out of here. Peace.
I would like 3 chicken wings with the fried rice. I would like 3 chicken wings with the fried rice. I would like 3 chicken wings with the fried rice. I would like 3 chicken wings with the fried rice. Used to eat Chinese on the late nights at the land with a hater who would throw shade wife. Box like an ocean, I ain't think twice. Turned into Larry Bird, homie, that's a great white. Spell victory on the lips, then she get dismissed. When you kiss, tell me what it tastes like. If she ain't thick, then you know the face nice. If it got a switch, then the cake's baked right. Back at HU, used to hit Ho Chi, laid up and cook hard, couldn't get no sleep. Mambo sauce, fried rice, 4 wings. Gotta step around a dope fiend when I leave. Y'all know me, hobby, smoke free, but I'm higher than the kite that you let go free. Train wreck, peer pressure by the homies. Now I'm sitting in the coop looking like Smokey, acting like I'm finna OD. Party like chill, you good.